Alright, I'm going to try to say this before I get copyrighted. So I'm taking the bolts out that hold the bumper on the Duramax. I already removed the license plate lights and started disconnecting some of the wiring here. So there's two bolts that connect to the bracket on the inside there, and then there's a bolt on the bottom here that goes through the hitch, as well as these two underneath that connect to the hitch. So after getting all the bolts out, I've got it setting up on a jack and a piece of wood on either side, and I marked where I need to start drilling my holes. Basically, none of the original frame holes line up, except for that one. I can start drilling a new hole in the bracket, but the rest of them I'm just going to end up having to drill new holes into the frame itself, and you can kind of tell on that top ear. And I had to kind of bend it in a little bit because it was such a tight squeeze for the brackets in between the frame. It's like literally exactly the width it needs to be to slide in between. So if you use these brackets that come with the bumper, you can see the bottom one will just bolt to the frame. The other one actually goes through the bumper bracket, and you can see I started drilling one of the holes. So I might just try to do an additional one up here instead of trying to go through both of these. But if you go ahead and keep your stock wiring harness for your license plate lights and then put an LED in there, they just twist directly into the housing. And then if you go to the store and get one of the trailer plugs for the 2015 style trucks, this guy just plugs directly into it, and that goes for the OBS trucks as well. I did end up having to cut off the license plate lights on the OBS and switch them over to this style so that they just twist in, but that wasn't hard to just wire that over. And then if you have your old bumper with the spare tire tube deal there with the cover, that should fit in here as well. You can transfer it over. And I'm also going to upgrade to a Kurt hitch that doesn't rely on the bumper support here. Some of the plastic needs to be trimmed on these with a razor blade, but in order to get this tube out, I basically had to bend some of these prongs out. You can see where they were kind of catching and marring up the side of this tube here. I think it's still good enough to reuse. I did break one of the little teeth off there, but once I got the tube out after bending some of these up, I was able to kind of pry out on this so that these little nubs that were holding this guy in weren't catching on the right side anymore, and I just pulled it out with a set of pliers. And then if you squeeze this, you can unhook it like this. I'm just going to transfer this over because I like this style. It has like the square hatch or whatever you want to call it, whereas the newer ones have like a circle. Alright, so here it is. I personally think it looks great.